What is going on? It is Thursday. We have a two-game NBA slate that I'm about to break down for you using the Sims tool and the contest generator at Stokastic.com. If you guys could do me a favor, like, follow, subscribe, appreciate when you click those buttons. It's only going to take a little bit of your time, and it helps us out a lot more than you even realize, just that half second you take to click those buttons. Also, if you want to sign up for our Sims packages, now is the time because we're running a promo code Millie that gets you 20% off when you sign up for the first time over the weekend. We had somebody win the Millie Maker using our Sims tools for NFL. We had somebody win the $3 20 max tournament for $100,000 using the Sims tool. Somebody won the Mini Max, which is the 150 max contest that has, I think it's a 50-cent buy-in over on DraftKings. Somebody won that for $10K. So all different buy-in levels. People end up winning tournaments over the weekend. So to celebrate that, we got the promo code Millie, 20% off when you sign up for the first time. And that's good for either the NFL or the NBA package, whichever it is that you guys are choosing to sign up for. So now is the time to sign up for that. And without further ado, let's look at tonight's NBA slate, starting with my number one overall projected lineup on DraftKings, and that is Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, Mikal Bridges, Kevin Love, Day'Ron Sharpe, SGA, Jonathan Kuminga, and Kevon Looney. So probably the biggest news that we have of the day. Nobody actually questionable on the injury report at the time that I'm recording, but for the Warriors, Steph Curry is out. Draymond Green suspended after the scuffle that the Warriors and the Timberwolves got into the other day. So that is going to create a lot of value relative to a two-game slate on the Golden State Warriors. That's why my best projected lineup here is geared pretty heavily towards Golden State. Actually, you know what? One other thing I want to look at before we go and look at the individual players here. I want to favorite the lineups, obviously, but then also look at what lineups are going to be dupes. So I don't usually look too much at dupes for NBA slates, but I'm going to look at it for today with it being a two-game slate. It's going to come in play. The most duped expected lineup on DK, and we'll do this for FanDuel as well when I sim out FanDuel lineups. Kyle Lowry, Spencer Dinwiddie, Andrew Wiggins, Cam Johnson, Bam Adebayo, Chris Paul, Dario Saric, Kevon Looney. That's your lineup that we are currently expecting to be duped the most for tonight's slate. But if I look at the exposures for my top 150 lineups, basically universally owning Chris Paul here. He's projected for 84% ownership. I got to a 94% of my lineups. And we'll go position by position now. I would find that as a good way to go ahead and do this, but just kind of stuck out to me that Chris Paul was in almost all my lineups here. So court plays at point guard. We've got the Mitten, Gary Payton II, Josh Giddey, SGA, and Chris Paul. And then underweight to Kyle Lowry and Spencer Dinwiddie at point guard. Shooting guard core options, we have Klay Thompson, Josh Giddey, and then coming in underweight to the field to Dinwiddie, also a shooting guard eligibility, Isaiah Joe, Moses Moody. Small forward core options here, Klay Thompson, Gary Payton, Andrew Wiggins, Mikal Bridges, and then underweight at small forward. Actually, still underweight to Andrew Wiggins because he's projected for 42% ownership. So I'm in 32% of lineups, but he's expected to be very, very popular tonight. And then underweight to my arch nemesis, Jimmy Butler, as well as underweight to Royce O'Neal and Isaiah Joe at the small forward spot here. Power forward core plays for the night. Players to build around in power forward. Dario Saric, although with that said, coming in underweight to field him, he is projected for nearly 70% ownership. So pretty crazy. You could have a player in 56.7% of lineups and be like fairly underweight to the field. That's what's happening here with Dario Saric, considering the field is expected to play him in 2/3 of lineups. Then also getting to a good amount of Cameron Johnson. Andrew Wiggins also underweight to him, though. And then overweight to Kevin Love. Love is in 32% of my top lineups and only projected for 7.5% ownership. So if you're looking to be contrarian today, Kevin Love looks like somebody who fits that bill. Underweight here as well to Jalen Williams, who's projected for 22% ownership and only showed up in 2% of my top 150 lineups. Centers on DK, getting to a ton of Kevon Looney, Dario Saric, so once again, same situation with his ownership. Bam Adebayo project for 50% ownership. I got to him in 36.7%, so a little bit underweight. And coming in overweight to Chet Holmgren, only project for 14% ownership. He's in 34% of my lineups, so he looks like a good leverage play as this Kevin Love, who we talked about before. So that is going to be a roundup of everything that we're looking at on DK. But let's check out FanDuel now. All right, FanDuel. Uploading that file. Now let's run the contest simulations for FanDuel. Also, something that we have in the contest generator Sims tool now, you can now set your your field exposure to change it based on the stakes you're playing at. So I'm sure, as you guys are familiar with, when it comes to especially NBA DFS, when you play in some of the higher stakes contests, it is way different ownership than, say, something like the $15 150 max. And then also the really low stakes tournaments, those tend to be softer fields. So we now have settings on here where you could move a slider depending on what stakes you're playing at. And that is going to change the results of your lineup. So it's a way to better cater the lineups you're building to the contest you're playing in. So that's something that is a really nice addition to our contest generator and Sims tool for both NBA and NFL. It's also included in the NBA late swap tool, so you could still include that for when you're making swaps to your lineups after lock. Let's go ahead, favorite the top 150 lineup on FanDuel here, and we have as the number one lineup SGA, Chris Paul, Josh Giddey, Klay Thompson, Mikal Bridges, Andrew Wiggins, Cameron Johnson, Kevin Love, and Kevon Looney. Most duped FanDuel lineup for today is Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, Spencer Dinwiddie, Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins, Cam Johnson, Dario Saric, Bam Adebayo, and as you see here, none of the heavily duped lineups made it into my top 150. And just trying to find some ways to diversify some of those lineups, and that is what the Sims helps us do for some of these small NBA slates where you do want to be unique and you don't want to play lineups that are duped a bunch of times. Let's go ahead and go position by position on FanDuel. Starting with the point guards, we have Chris Paul and SGA basically in everything. 91% of Chris Paul, 81% of SGA, 50% here of Josh Giddey, and then basically no other point guard exposure. We are well underweight to the field on Dinwiddie, well underweight to the field here on Lowry. So these three guys primarily who are building around at point guard. Shooting guard, Klay Thompson, benefiting from the Warriors being shorthanded. Mikal Bridges, Josh Giddey, Gary Payton, Lonnie Walker, Lou Dort, the players who have 20+% of it shooting guard, and then well underweight to the field on Spencer Dinwiddie and Jalen Williams. Same guys that we saw us underweight to the field to over on DK as well. FanDuel small forward, Mikal Bridges, Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, Cameron Johnson, Lonnie Walker, Lou Dort, all guys that I have north of 20% exposure to. Now, of those guys, though, we do have Jimmy Butler projected to be 72% owned. So 51% of him does have me getting underweight to the field to him. And then once again, Jalen Williams, who's expected to be super popular today, hardly getting to in my top lineups on FanDuel or DK. And then slightly underweight to field on Wiggins. He's expected to be very popular. Power forwards. What are we getting to at power forward here? Power forward core options. Mostly guys I'm actually underweight to here. So even though I'm getting a bunch of exposure to Butler, Wiggins, Saric, Cam Johnson, is less than what the field is getting to. 72% of Jimmy Butler. So more so it's like guys like, hey, double the field on Kevin Love, a little bit more of Caleb Martin than what the field is doing. So some of these guys who are really low on 4.5% for Kevin Love, 8.6% for Caleb Martin, taking some low-owned shots at them. So getting more exposure to them was underweight to the field on some of the more popular options at power forward. And now center core options here, Dario Saric, about even with the field on him, 50.7% projected ownership, 48.7% in my top lineups, getting well overweight to the field on Kevon Looney, as well overweight to the field on Chet Holmgren. So that's how we're getting off some of the popularity of Bam Adebayo, moving some of those lineups to guys like Looney and Holmgren, who are projected for 17 and 22% ownership, whereas Bam Adebayo is at 47.5%. So that's everything we need to look at for FanDuel today. And I know people say like, hey, post these videos and then players get ruled out later. It's kind of always going to be the case with NBA, but maybe not today. It's only a 2-game slate. Nobody questionable on the injury report at the time I'm recording, so hopefully nothing really changes too much. If you guys found this content helpful, do me a favor, like, follow, subscribe, and then if you're looking to sign up, use that promo code Million, the link below, because that is going to get you 20% off when you sign up for the first time. Guys, hope you have a great day today. And also, Thursday Night Football. I did a video for that as well. Bengals, Ravens. We actually have a decent Thursday Night Football game. So, guys, hope you have a great day. Good luck with all your lineups tonight. See you back here tomorrow.